Who can forget in ice hockey when Todd Bertuzzi of the Vancouver Canucks blindsided rookie Steve Moore with a punch to the head and a subsequent face-first push to the ice? Or the much publicized NBA Detroit Pistons Indiana Pacers brawl that involved a number of players and fans and resulted in the Pacers' Ron Artest receiving a 140-game suspension for going into the stands to fight unruly Pistons fans. Incidents of aggression are becoming all too common throughout the sport world. We see it in the bleachers, on the benches, and most commonly on the fields or courts of sport arenas. Sport has the potential to be the vehicle for controlling or curbing violence. Like for instance, in the US, midnight inner-city basketball games have become popular because they are thought to keep gang members off the street. Many people see boxing, wrestling, and football as socially acceptable channels for aggression, while others see these sports as primarily aggressive. Given these examples, it is clear that aggression is a major concern for those involved in sport. Before we dive deeper into the different topics under aggression, we must first understand what aggression is and what it is not. What is aggression? We speak of good aggression, for example, a UST volleyball player going after a loose ball, or lowering your shoulder in a drive toward the basket in basketball. And bad aggression, for example, taking a cheap shot in soccer, or committing a flagrant foul in basketball. Whether it is good or bad depends on the interpretation. Aggression is easier to talk about if you avoid the good-bad dichotomy and instead view it neutrally as a behavior we want to understand. Aggression is defined as any form of behavior directed toward intentionally harming or injuring another living being. Destruction of things is not considered an aggressive act unless directed to a person. Based on the definitions, 4 criteria of aggression emerge. First criterion: aggression is a behavior. Physical or verbal behavior, not an attitude, emotion, or motive. Anger and thoughts might play a role in aggressive behavior, but they are not necessarily the defining characteristics of aggression. Second criterion: aggression involves harm or injury, either physical or psychological harm. For example, destroying a fellow athlete's uniform, hitting someone by throwing a ball, hitting someone with a baseball bat are aggressive acts. Verbal or nonverbal acts are intended to cause psychological harm or behaviors that deprive a person of something. For example, purposely embarrassing someone, saying something hurtful, purposefully making someone feel inadequate, or trying to intimidate someone. Third criterion: aggression is directed toward a living organism. For example, directing the harm towards a person or animal. Accidental harm is not aggression. Acts with intent and purpose to injure, whether accomplished or not, are aggression. Kicking a bench is not, but kicking a dog is aggression because it is directed toward a living thing. Fourth criterion: aggression involves intent. Intent, or purposeful aggressive act, is directed towards a living organism. Accidental harm is not aggression because it is unintentional. For example, a baseball player accidentally hitting someone with a ball is not an aggressive act because of the lack of intention. Types of aggression. First type is instrumental aggression. It is an aggressive behavior committed to achieve a non-aggressive goal. It is non-emotional and task-oriented. For example, a rugby player tackling hard to gain possession of the ball. Main aim is to attain an approved goal, such as winning a game. Like when a boxer lands a solid blow to an opponent's head, injury or harm is usually inflicted. The boxer's primary goal is to win the bout, and he can do that by inflicting harm on his opponent. Another type of aggression is hostile or reactive aggression. Harm or injury, physical or psychological, is the primary goal, with violence as an outcome of reactive aggression. Sport violence involves behaviors which cause harm, occur outside of the rules of the sport and are related to the competitive objectives of the sport. For example, when Ben Thatcher of Manchester City slammed his elbow into Pedro Mendes of Portsmouth. Another example is if a boxer pinned his opponent to the ropes and purposely tried to punish him with blows to the head and body, while consciously trying not to end the match. This would qualify as hostile or reactive aggression. Next type is assertive behavior. Assertive behaviors are purposeful, goal-directed, and does not involve intended harm. For instance, in basketball, a player drives the ball to score a point. Maybe you are now wondering, why are some athletes more aggressive than others? What causes some athletes to lose control? Are aggressive individuals born? Or are they a product of their environment? Aggression in sport can be caused by a number of factors. The most identifiable reasons are the rules of the game, such as level of physical contact, frustration, instinct, presence, arousal, environmental cues, self-control, behavior of those around, personality, media involvement, coaching, role models, and society we live in. The following theories will explain and understand the nature and causes of aggression in sports. Biological or instinct theory states that man is born with an aggressive instinct that makes aggressive behavior inevitable. This instinct can either be expressed through an attack on another living being or through socially acceptable means such as sport. Next is the drive reduction theory or frustration aggression theory. This theory states that most aggressive acts are committed when people are frustrated. Causes of frustration include questionable shouts from officials, failure to perform a good play, muscular pains that interfere with optimum performance, heckling from spectators, taunts by coach or players. Another theory is the revised frustration aggression theory, or cognitive neo-association theory. According to this theory, aggression will occur if the situation calls for it. If the person deems it inappropriate, then no aggressive acts will occur. For example, a football safety who was frustrated after being badly beaten on a deep pass pattern for a touchdown might lash out at his opponent if his coaches previously tolerated this behavior. However, if he has learned that he will be benched for the next game for lashing out, the aggressive behavior is much less likely to occur. Another theory to explain aggressive behaviors in athletes is the social learning theory by a psychologist named Albert Bandura. Albert Bandura found that children who watched adult models commit violent acts, such as beating up Bobo dolls, repeated those acts more than the children not exposed to such aggressive models. These modeling effects were especially powerful when the children were reinforced for copying the actions of the adult models. This theory states that aggressive behavior is learned through modeling and is reinforced by rewards and punishments. For example, young athletes who have sports heroes as role models and imitate their behavior. Parents, coaches, and teammates are also models who may demonstrate support for an aggressive style of play. Reinforcing a behavior increases the likelihood that the behavior will be repeated. For example, through praise, awards, high positions, respect from friends and family members. The general aggression model is another theory explaining the causes of aggression in sports. This model proposes that both personal and situational factors and their unique interaction determine one's propensity to behave aggressively. That is, personality, such as ego-oriented athletes, have been found to be more aggressive than task-oriented athletes. And situation, such as intense rivalries, are associated with increased aggression, will determine the likelihood that someone will be aggressive. As these aggressive inputs are experienced, one's internal state is altered. Aggression occurs as a result of a complex process mediated by one's thoughts and emotions, caused by the interaction of numerous personal and situational factors. Since aggression is becoming a concern in the sporting world, guidelines are being implemented on the appropriate goal-aggressive acts in sports for athletes, coaches, game officials, and even parents to help in managing aggression. Some examples of guidelines are: if winning is an important goal, aggressive behavior, if used at all, is more effective early in the contest. If the athlete is already psyched up, to provoke him or her to get tough or to be more aggressive is unwise. This will likely reduce performance quality. Coaches have to state their expectations of appropriate athlete behaviors at the first meeting period. If the object of the program is to have fun and to learn skills, the participants should understand that hostility is out of place, and others. The International Society of Sports Psychology, or ISSP, also provided recommendations on aggression and violence in sport. Some recommendations include: management should make fundamental penalty revisions so that rule-violating behavior results in punishments that have greater punitive value than potential reinforcement. Management must ensure proper coaching of teams, particularly at junior levels, which emphasizes a fair play code of conduct among participants. Management should ban the use of alcoholic beverages at sporting events, among others. Self-monitoring can also help manage aggression in athletes. The ability to self-monitor becomes essential because it allows the athlete to intervene and separate important mental contents from non-important derived from specific stimuli, and to know when to consciously override actions or to allow automatic processes to continue. Another way to manage aggression is through self-awareness, learning from the environment or from observation of one's own psychological state to aid with behavior modification. Another approach is to modify aggressive reactions by recognizing when aggression is most likely to occur. Stress management also helps with managing aggression. Stress management training can help athletes deal with frustrating situations, and also teaching appropriate behaviors.